Hey everybody, welcome to Ron Line Report. Today's guest is one of the OG coaches. He coached such famous guys as Greene, Dexter Jackson, Branch Warren, just to name a couple of many superstars. Please welcome the original guru, George Farah. How are you, George?
What's up, everyone? How you doing, Ron?
Doctor, you worked hard for that, doctor. I'm going to call you Dr. George Farah.
Thank you, brother. You know what, George, guru, whatever, doesn't matter.
So, yeah, like I said, you were, for many years, you were one of the top coaches at the Arnold Classic, Mr. Olympia level, worked with athletes in all different divisions. And you got away from it for a little while. So I don't think I've ever really talked to you about that. What made you get away from coaching for a time?
You know, I really did not get away from coaching completely, but after I took Andrew Jack, and helped him turn pro, then, taking him, won the Arnold in England and stuff. So it's kind of like we went to the Olympia, and the poor guy, he was a little sick, and he was battling fever and stuff. So I'm trying to dial him in as much as I can. For first Olympia, he took eighth. But to be honest with you, sitting there and I have a bunch of people, I have some figure, I have some, and I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That gut feeling, that stress. And I'm like, it kind of like put me back, like right before, like when Kai and Dexter were going on the stage, and I'll get stressed and stuff. And literally right after that, I was diagnosed with cancer. I'm like, you know what, man? I don't need that stress.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why you see a lot of the people like him, or like Blessing, and these guys that were working with me at the time. Like basically I told them, listen, man, I love you guys, but you know, I- can you just find somebody else? Because I really it's very stressful. The big bodybuilder is very stressful, but at the same time, I was focusing on my business aspect. You know what I mean? Because I have an office, preventative medicine, so I'm helping a lot of people. Before they get sick, what they need to do. I'm helping paying it forward. Like let's put it that way. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I kind of like backed off a little bit from bodybuilding. I kept some, the amateur, a couple of men's physiques and stuff, but not like before. You know what I mean? But right now, I love bodybuilding, man. It's just like that's who made George Farah. And I truly believe, that Mr. Manion and now Tyler, they put a great platform for all of us. You know what I'm saying? To become who we are. So I cannot stay away from it. You know what I'm saying? So I started, a few years back, I started like, taking bodybuilders again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I don't want to overwhelm myself. One guy here, one guy here, stuff. So, and it's working out. It's working out. I took, in one of the stressful situations, for an example, I took Ali Bilal when when nobody knew what Ali Bilal is, and then I took him, I made him, like he came to me after the Olympia 2023, which is he was on the last call up, and he wants to work with me. We started a little bit. I said, listen, let's do it. And honestly, I'm so proud of the guy. He really ended up winning New York Pro, Pittsburgh Pro, and he took second at the Olympia. Arguably, he could have won either way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because he looked phenomenal. And we kept going. And he said, we took a break. Did his, became very famous, and we were doing the Arnold, and I thought everything was going great. And about a week before the Arnold, actually, to be honest, 9 days he was in New York, and he sent me his pictures, and he went and saw, Big Steve, and Steve told me, George, you look amazing. He's working on his posing. He was so happy. He told me, George, we're gonna win the Olympia, 4 or 5 times, and please, then we retire together. Because I was telling him, I said, I don't know how long I'm gonna take. Make the story short, about a week out, and I have every proof. A week out, the guy sent me a text, tells me, you know what? He wants to do things on his own. I'm like, what? I said, what happened? He said, well, it's kind of like I'm looking at last year's, like a program is very similar. I said, exactly, because it was working, champ. You won. So why should I change it? If something's not broken,
Yeah.
I already know how your metabolism works. But make the story short, I was just getting out of the hospital dealing with some scar tissue. I'm feeling bad and stuff. And when he told me this, man, it was like, man, like a punch in the gut. I'm like, oh my God, seriously? This is the guy's telling me I'm his brother a day before, telling me, hey man, there's some company call me. What do you think, brother? This and that. So that's, and to be honest with you,
Hmm.
at the time I felt like a little bad. But right now I don't feel bad. I don't because I don't have a bad bone in my body, man. I wish everybody, I mean, I love Ali. Ali, I treat him like a little brother. You
Hmm.
see what I'm saying? Him and his wife, they became like family. So I said, God bless him. But like people telling me, George, but we know he was to understand I don't have bad bone in my body, Bill. I'm
Yeah.
not, I just don't hate anybody.
Right.
Because people tell me he's a this, he's that. I'm like, I don't want that. Anyway,
Yeah. So yeah, George, you bring up an interesting point about the stress because coaching, I've talked to guys like Hani and Chad and Aceto and Olympia weekend, Arnold Classic weekend, they don't sleep. It's just constant going from one athlete's room to another, text message, phone calls. You don't eat, you don't sleep. It seems, it's a sport that's about ostensibly health and fitness, but being a coach at that level, at your level, it's not healthy when you have a large roster of clients. So I don't know how
mm,
you did it as long as you did.
like I said, I did it until I get cancer.
Yeah, well,
So
there
I
you
don't
go.
want I don't want to have another one.
Yeah,
You see what
yeah,
I'm saying? So yeah, so the bottom line, man, I don't want it to be stress. I just want it to be smooth work, work with people that I feel. I mean, look at Dexter Jackson, look at Branch, look at Kai, look at even Johnny Jackson, Tony Freeman, all these guys I worked with, we still like brothers, you know what I mean? And that's, I don't think it's the same anymore. It's something's really weird nowadays.
yeah.
Something really different, man. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Well,
Honestly,
yeah,
it's just people they want instant certification, they want instant winning, they want and with me, you need to remember, I've been shot before. I almost died. I was in a sedative coma. So I
right.
already know how important life is. So to me is when I work with any athlete, I'm not just thinking about him winning now. I'm thinking about him when he's 50 and 60 and 70 and living, enjoying his kids and his family. You see what I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
the difference between my mentality and a lot of other guys.
Yeah. I mean, I remember we've had this discussion before where you cut people's doses like less than half of what they were using, and they were very skeptical. And you said, trust me. You don't need all that stuff. And you probably put some extra years on the lives of many of your clients by just the protocols that you would have them come down from these crazy high points at.
Listen, everybody comes to me. I'm really shocked to say something's wrong, man. I mean, these people taking. Listen, if I can get somebody like Kai, and Dexter on 3 mil of test a week, getting ready for Olympia, there's no reason for somebody getting ready for his Mr. Street to take 1,000 milligram. It's
Yeah.
just, it doesn't make any sense. You see what I'm saying? The more it's not necessary, the better. Especially when you're educated person. It's not like I don't base my stuff just out of my mind like a lot of people do. It's all based on science and research. Like a lot of people, advocate to 4 or 5 grams, for an example, protein, per pound. I
Wow.
can't do this. For an example, I went to the Olympia 3 times with one kidney, and I never went more than point 0.8 grams, per pound. You see what I'm
Wow.
saying? And that was a lot for me. You
Hmm.
understand what I'm saying? And I still managed to go to Olympia. So what I'm trying to tell you is, n- you know, I'm not saying that a lot of protein is going to hurt you. You might not see the hurting now, but right now there's a lot of study, you know, PEDs along with high protein, you are definitely going to suffer some consequences, some kidney damages and stuff. And that's something I don't want to be part of.
Yeah.
See, me, I want people to later on. when I always, you remember what I always said, there's life after bodybuilding. So I want people to say, man, thank God I met this dude. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Yeah.
want to say, me, this guy ruined my life. I don't want that.
Yeah.
You know, over what? Plastic trophy? No, I'm all set.
I don't think any coach has ever come out and said it explicitly, but I've seen protocols and I've seen coaches defend these extreme protocols, saying, "Well, my job's not. These people hire me to win. You know, they're taking a chance, but that's not my problem. That's not my issue. If they want to risk everything and maybe go into kidney failure, heart disease, whatever, that's on them. You hire me to win. I'll do everything. I'll put everything in the kitchen sink in, and we're going to maximize your chances of winning. And whatever happens, happens."
That's not me. I'm
No.
sorry. That's not me because, like I said, I experienced on an early age, just before even I get in my cancer, being shot and being in a coma, it made me realize, man, how quickly a human being can be gone. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
people, they need to remember you're only on this earth, on this planet once. So you need to make the best out of it. You cannot just be, selfish person and don't care about the people that love you and care about you, including your mom and dad and your wife, some of them married, your kids, your sisters, your brother. Yeah, that's not fair, man. That's not fair. So if somebody want to work with me, yeah, I am taking customers. I'm taking clients, new clients, I'm helping them, but they need to understand George is not going to go to the extreme. George will get you winning a show, most importantly, winning your lifespan. See what I'm
Mm,
saying? Because you might not recognize this or realize this when you're 25 and 35. But then when you start hitting the 40s and 50s, you're like, oh my God, I'm glad I didn't do. Because let's face it, there's a lot of big names, man. They're in mid 40s and they're gone.
yeah.
Sadly, you know what I'm saying? We're never gonna see them again. And guess what? We cried for a week and two in a month, and maybe we remember them once a year, but they're gone.
Yeah.
Their
Yeah.
kids suffering, their parents suffering. You see what I'm saying? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I'm so different, brother.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are close to the same age, and we've seen, God, hundreds and hundreds of people in the industry pass away. Never made it to the age we're at. Never got to see grandchildren. Never. Just
And you know what? You know what, Ron? It's very sad because that could have been prevented in the sport that we all love. And not listen to this, not just from taking hormones. It's also the amount of food in this crazy regimen they go on. That's not good neither. I mean, I know coach, he's giving people insulin and apple pie and dude, what are you muffins? That's not food for bodybuilding. You know what I'm saying? This if somebody's looking to, try to commit suicide slowly. So, but like you said, a lot of those coaches don't really care. They just want one thing is the winning. Not me, man. I want you to win, but I want you to be healthy while you win. So you can enjoy the winning later on and talk about it later on.
Well, let's go to happier things. You are coaching this guy. You just told me because I'm behind and I didn't get the news, but you're coaching this guy from Slovakia, Michal KRIZONEK. He's
Yes.
actually one of my favorite newer bodybuilders. Really fresh, full, thick, dense look. I love this guy's physique. So tell me, how did you guys team up? How did this come to be? This collaboration?
I go every year. There's Peter from Evels, in Czech Republic. He always invite me every year to be at the championship, and it's beautiful. They put an amazing pro show, and I was there. I go every year, and they signed him to his team, and he told me, George, I really want you to help him, with his diet and stuff, because he have a Chris Cormier helping him with working out and posing and stuff like this.
Yeah.
He said, but we need somebody to help him, with his prep, like the food. And I said, it'll be my pleasure, and that's how we hooked up after Prague last year. We start talking, and the poor guy, I don't know if you remember, he was injured really bad.
Yeah.
And then, and I when I took him after, and everybody said, well, he's not going to be ready. I said, listen, you're going to be more than ready, because he's not used to eating so much clean and stuff. And he tells me, he goes, man, I'm never used to eating that little of protein, but now he's amazed the condition he's in. Like he's getting in a crazy condition. And I'm telling you, he's gonna piss some people off that weekend, coming in Pittsburgh. So you better
Absolutely.
get your tickets to Pittsburgh Pro and then New York Pro because you guys gonna see something really, really spectacular.
Yeah, because he had shoulder surgery. I want to say it was last fall. It wasn't that long. Was it summer?
Not too long ago. Like that's what I said. We really like within like you talking his pictures. The last picture he took till to the new now, it's like literally within 3 months he looked like a totally different beast. All of a sudden he just flourished and ate because I feed my guys a lot of carbs and stuff, and I mean he looked crazy, man. He's looking crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, posing was the one area. I'm glad he's getting help with that. Back could be a little better, but this guy is one to watch. He's getting better and better. And I
Believe it
agree.
or not, his back really improved tremendously, and I was surprised because, he's one of those guys. He's not shy of working. He really want to do the best. I mean, I'm going to show you a really new pictures if you can see it. But look at the front, look at the legs, the sweep. I mean, the guy looked just crazy, and he was always worried, and now we're holding him around like the 130 kg, so that's a lot. We're talking like 200 some 80 pounds. So
Jeez.
he's big, he's massive, and he's hard. So it's a great combo.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, Pittsburgh's going to be a hell of a show, but I mean, he's very humble. I think he said in an interview or on his post maybe a week or two ago, he said, "I'm probably, I'm hoping to be like fifth or sixth." He's a very humble guy.
Very
Uh,
humble, very,
I
very humble guy.
would
But
not be surprised.
honestly, I mean, remember, we have one of the best. I mean, we're talking that's some serious lineup, Olympia lineup, man, in there. And I think a few people are going to be, like upset.
Yeah. Because another thing I've noticed, and this is probably a challenge that you're willing to take. He seemed like to me he would flatten out a bit for shows. Like I'd see him like, look at here, he's bursting full, so round, so full. Then I'd see him on stage at the Olympia or whatever. I'm like, huh, it looked like he deflated. So, do you have a plan to keep him nice and full?
You know what's my plan? You see how he look now? So
Yeah.
if it's not broke, why fix it, right? So just little fine tuning at the end and voila. I
Yeah.
mean, he really looked like his glutes are in, everything is in. So I'm not gonna like, there's no such a carb deplete and stuff. Because remember, every athlete is very different than the other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he's a very different. Believe it or not, he remind me a lot of how Dexter eats. You know what I mean? Because that guy can look at food and he just grow too. So yeah, it's really like it's a great, man. It's humbling to be part of these guys, like dreams and stuff. It's really a great experience, because they're doing the job. I'm not lifting the 500 pound and stuff. I'm just showing them the way. So I'm proud of them. Proud of them.
Yeah, I mean, he's like I said, I'm excited to see what he can do now that you're guiding him. Not to say that he didn't have good guidance before, but I know you from all these years. I've seen what you've done with athletes. I remember you taking Branch from, he wasn't like a B-list or anything, but God, I think he won 2 Arnolds in a row with you, and one of those was 6 months
Yeah,
after
you know what's so funny?
second
It's
at the Olympia.
I still remember, like, because I talk to Branch so much, and we still talking, all the time right now.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I remember 2009,
Hmm.
like they have an interview with me, and a lot of people were there, like a lot of the gurus, and they say, "Who's your top five pick?" And I picked Branch, to be right up there. I'd be like, oh, now we're not saying top 10, we're saying top, because he was never top 10. I said, listen, I said, this is what I'm gonna tell you guys. Whoever's gonna stand next to Branch, Branch is gonna make him look fat. And they all laughed at me. But then I still remember, this is honestly, and Chris Asiro, as a matter of fact, he'll tell you, after prejudging, Branch, I think, was number one on the stage. He walked out,
Yes, he
and
was.
yeah, and Chris came to me. He goes, "Oh my God, what is this?" He goes, "It's like somebody from outer space with the ambulance and the lights and stuff." We were laughing, I said, I told you, bro, he's gonna be. In all reality, if it wasn't for Jay Cutler, who he was and stuff, I mean, Branch could have walked away with that. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it
Yeah,
was
and
second
beating
place.
no other than, I mean, he beat the previous winner, who's my guy, Dexter Jackson. I mean, Branch looked crazy. And I remember at the press conference, they said, well, what do you think you're here? I said, hey, man, I'm here to be in that first call out and dominate some people. They said, but the critic say, he said, I don't give a damn what the critics say. He said, that's what I love about, because those are memories, they live with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, that was,
Yeah.
like I said, Branch was somebody who was never supposed to get to the Olympia in the first place. The people crapped all over his physique. And God, if Jay hadn't come in that one time looking insane, Branch
Exactly.
he would have a Mr. Olympia title.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I want to ask you about a trend we're seeing now. So previously, for many, many years, the Mr. Olympia champions would not do any other shows aside from the Olympia. The feeling was it's best to just have the whole year, focus, have your off season. But now that the Arnold Classic is pumping up their prize money, we saw it last year for the first time. Hadi Chupan was he the reigning Olympia at the time? No, Derek
No.
was. Derek was, but still, he took a chance. He went in and took the title in Ohio, took the title in the UK, but he did not look his absolute best at the Olympia, and he did not get his title back. Samson got it. And we're seeing the same thing now because this year they added the Pittsburgh show, which is in May. So we had two Olympia champs. We had Derek, who's wants to get his title back. He was the 2023 champ, lost it last year to Samson, comes roaring back, picks up $500,000 by beating Samson, the reigning Mr. Olympia. And now everyone, Samson's not moving on in Pittsburgh, but Derek's doing Pittsburgh, Bonac, Fitzwater's doing Pittsburgh. Is this a gamble? Because I talked to Ronnie. We did an interview a couple days ago, Ronnie Coleman, because he didn't feel he was able to peak more than once a year, 100%. He sort of applies that logic to everyone else and doesn't think that they should do multiple shows. We're in a new era with bigger prize money, and some people have been complaining for years. These guys don't compete enough. So what's your feelings on these guys being able to peak multiple times a year? Are they risking being able to hold on to their Mr. Olympia title or regain their Mr. Olympia title? Because we see Hadi, he seems to have learned a lesson. He's sitting out this year.
Yeah, and yes and no. But remember, I mean, they're far away. So I don't see why they cannot peak. You know what I mean? Especially if you have the right guidance, the right eye and stuff. I don't think this can affect you, that much. But I think Ronnie, and Ronnie, because if you remember, he did the GNC, he ended up losing,
Yes.
to Gunter. And I think Ronnie kind of like, oh my God. But they were very close. So I don't know, man. I like it. It's exciting. I want to see these people. As a matter of fact, I want those shows, man. The Pittsburgh show in New York, they're always like one of my favorite. They're in my backyard. And I really want them to be the best shows. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm happy. I'm happy that we have such a great lineup, man. It's going to be amazing, amazing show that Pittsburgh and New York.
Oh, I think everyone's going to do Pittsburgh New York, except whoever wins New York. But even then, I have a sneaking suspicion that, Derek's got to be he's the heavy odds-on favorite to win New York Pro. I don't think anybody's going to argue that. I suspect instead of sitting back, he might just hang out on the East Coast for another few days and do New York Pro and win that. Why not?
Well, you meant he's doing the Pittsburgh first, and
Yeah, but it's only
okay.
they're only 1 week
Yes,
apart.
yes. It's definitely. I know. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
So I love it. Like I said, man, it's exciting. I love it. Too bad Samson and and Andrew's not there because I really want to see that whole lineup on our East Coast. It'll be great.
That's and another thing. Andrew will talk about in a second, but Samson, the one thing that I think people were upset because this was the first time a reigning Mr. Olympia has been beaten since Ronnie lost to Gunter in 2002, well over 20 years ago. But we're all harping on condition. That's what Derek beat him. I firmly believe if Samson could get into condition that we've never seen from him before, nobody beats this guy. He's got the height, the width, the shape, everything just flows. Do you think losing to Derek might have been actually an extra incentive for him to finally push that extra level and get to that condition?
I mean, I hope so. I hope so. I love Samson. He's such an amazing, humble kid. So's Derek, though. I mean, we really have some really good guys, man. These guys are amazing guys. So I hope he's gonna like really come in and like you said, I don't know if you remember, but we have the podcast, me and you before,
Mm.
and everybody laughed at me when I told them Samson could win. You remember? I
Yeah,
said
yeah.
Samson comes in shape, all the little guys they're not gonna be able to handle him because it's a freak show, man. It's the bigger guys, and when the bigger guys come in shape, forget about it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I hope he can come in like peeled, and if he did, he's gonna be tough to beat.
That's that brings up another thing I want to ask you about is some people do believe, a lot of people believe that the taller, heavier bodybuilders like Samson, who's 300 pounds, or Andrew, who's 285, whatever he is, it's harder for them to get conditioned than it is for a guy who's shorter and lighter. Is there any truth to that, or is that just coping?
And I don't think so. I honestly, I don't. I mean, listen, muscle's a muscle. I mean, yeah, certain people, there's no such a thing as cookie cutter. It's not going to work for everybody. But
Hmm.
everybody is different. I take people, I even people, some people, if they're not getting in shape, I tell them to do their blood work. You know why? Because I want to see where their hemoglobin A1C, I want to see how their liver is operating, how their kidney, because all this can make a huge difference in the way you look. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, like you got to combine science along with your diet.
Cool. All right.
Sorry.
No, no, that's what else is going on? Because tell me about the other. Oh, I want to show this. This is your nephew, Ralph. Hang on a second. 'Cause I saw this, and I want to ask you, is this, hang on, let me get rid of Andrew. Is this really your nephew, or is I know,
Yes.
okay, because the reason I ask is because my son-in-law is Lebanese, and I know they call people like cousin and uncle that aren't actually their cousins or uncles. It
No,
seems to me.
listen, I'm gonna tell you some. Honestly, I'm a little skeptical. I mean, because maybe I'm a little biased because I love him,
Yeah.
and I really thought he should be a little bit higher, at that last show, because you know I was sitting there and me, Fitzgerald, couple of they're like, oh my God, he's in great condition. He looks really good. As a matter of fact, couple of the judges they
Oh, yeah.
came to me and they told me, honestly, if you want to look like anybody on that stage, will be like your nephew because he was pretty nice, beautiful clavicle, shoulder wide, small waist, legs, and he was tight. But you know what? If the judges saw it any other way, you got to respect that. So I'm hoping he's gonna see, he's gonna go into other different, eyes, like maybe Tyler, maybe Steve, seeing him to see what. I mean, the bottom line, he's still on the lighter side,
Yeah.
being only like around 226, 27 pounds. I would really like to see him in the 230s. And I think he's going to be dangerous because he's so pretty. He's very well put together, like his uncle.
Have you been his coach all along, or did he just recently start working with
No,
you?
no, no, no. I actually worked with him for a long time. He was only like 140 pounds when we started.
Wow.
And yeah, yeah, he was very little guy. And remember, he's only 27 right now. So he still have a long time ahead of him. Yeah, I took him and I got him his pro card, over the two brothers, and I think was it in Finland? I don't know, somewhere in Europe. He got his pro card in the classic, but he loves bodybuilding. He goes, Uncle, I want to do bodybuilding. I want to do bodybuilding. So that's why we took a little break. You know what I'm saying? For
Yeah.
him to add some weight on. Like even at that show, they were telling me, they said, George, let him. Why doesn't he do classic? I'm like, he can't lose another 20 pounds. Look at the conditions he's on.
Yeah.
Losing 20 pounds from this condition is too much for your kidney to handle. So I
Mm.
said, no, instead, maybe we'll gain another, 5, 10 pounds as we go, and we'll go from there.
Wow. So, how is he related to you? Is he your aunt or I'm sorry, one of your brother or sister's
My
kids?
brother, my brothers. Yeah, that's why he have the last name, the same last name.
Okay, yeah, Doik. That would make sense, Ron. But I actually see the armor zone, the arm genetics
Yeah.
similarity, because you always had crazy, like right there in that frontal bicep. Yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff. Ralph Farah. Okay, yeah. As soon as I saw the name, I'm like, I wonder if, and then eventually we got it confirmed. So good job with your nephew right there. He's lucky to have an uncle like you, man.
I love him. He's a great kid. Not to mention he's very well educated too. So he knows what he's doing. So he's gonna be a great coach too.
Cool. All
Yeah.
right. Anything else that's going on? I know you have other businesses. What's
Yeah, I have, I have a new company called Farah Secret, and it's not in the US yet, but I've been working on it for a long time because I really want it as pure as possible. No sucralose, no fillers. I'm just sweetening it with some, organic stevia and some of the stuff like I have, granulated honey in it, real honey. So I want it to be as pure as possible, man, just because I can't sell something knowing that could hurt people. And now we all know that sucralose can really mess up your microbiome. And we finally, all agrees that your microbiome, it's everything. It's your health, it's your immunities. So we need to, take care of your stomach. Otherwise you're looking for trouble.
okay? Yeah, there it is. So it's guys, it is Farah _secrets _by Gur. I'm gonna follow it right now. Yeah. Cool, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, I'm surprised actually. I have like good followers already.
I mean, you've been around so long. I mean, you built this
But I'm
reputation.
horrible. I'm horrible with social media. I don't know how I get people follow me, but you know what? Because a lot of the people they like me
Yeah.
because I speak from the heart and I say it the way it is. Like I said, and I love everyone. I love everyone. Like a lot of my friends, they said, "Oh my God, this guy left you. Why would you talk to him?" I said, "I don't care. We're all brothers and sisters, man. Life is too short. I've been dead twice. First getting shot and then cancer. Like, I can't complain, man. God keeping me here for a reason, not to be negative.
Yeah. George Farragher, 1 million followers. You're not doing that badly. You're not doing 1 million followers. Come on, guy.
I don't know why.
That's goat level.
But
That's
we are
cool.
gonna work on social media, and I want to really start putting some stuff out there. Like I said, man, this is the sport we all love, and I appreciate the Manions, like putting that great platform for all of us,
Yeah.
and I really want to continue to help. So yeah, I'm actually, I'm taking people again. I have a bunch of people working with me, a lot of new amazing, like genetic, some like crazy stuff is gonna happen.
Right on. Cool. Well, George, man, thank you so much for taking the time. I know you're busy. You got all these businesses and clients going on. So
My pleasure, brother.
always,
My
always
pleasure.
appreciate it.
Of course, anytime, Ron.
All right, guys, this has been Dr. George Farah, one of the original gurus. And thankfully for a lot of these athletes, still in the game and still coaching, still guiding them to victory safely and in the healthiest way possible, which is
Amen.
not something all the guys out there do. So thanks for being you, George. What else can I
My
say?
pleasure, brother. My pleasure. Thank you, guys.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching Ron Line Report with Dr. George Farah. We'll see you next time.